Well, hello. I pray that you have had an awesome weekend, starting out another new day, or maybe you're halfway through it where you're at in the world. Let's consider some things today. Isn't that what we usually do? Let's consider the truths of redemption. Now, do you remember? And something I want you to remember here. A reminder, I'm F.C. Farwell. I'm a minister that shares truths of the Gospels that give you keys to bring deliverance to your life. Not only deliverance, but hope. You manifest the blessings of God that are already yours, and so on. But today, we're considering redemption. But redemption specifically in what Galatians chapter 3, make sure I got that right. Yeah, chapter 3, and in verse 13. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law, becoming a curse for us. Okay. What does it mean that Christ has redeemed us? And we're going to do a practical exercise in a minute to see something. I like doing little exercises and things with you, and we're working out our salvation. Isn't that what Philippians 2:14 says? Work out your own salvation with reverence and respect, or fear and trembling before God. So redemption, or being redeemed, is a ransom, means a ransom. A price was paid for you and I. This ransom was to rescue us from loss. Oh yeah, to rescue us from loss. Didn't even know we needed rescuing. But now that we get in a position we God, I need rescuing. Yeah, we know we need rescuing. And this rescuing improves our opportunity. It opens opportunities in the kingdom. So I want to look at it like this. In our past, we had problems. Now, you may think you have problems today, but really, because of what Christ has done, you've been given opportunity, instead of looking at things as problems, an opportunity to trust and believe God for your breakthrough. So we've talked spiritually, physically, financially, right? So Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. Let me pull this up on the book there, the book face thing. Okay, just give it a second here to load up. And you wonderful people, Anne, I see you there. What was the curse of the law? That we have been redeemed from, bought out, purchased, ransomed from, rescued from the loss that the curse called. Well, it is in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now, in Deuteronomy 28, it tells us this. Deuteronomy 28:1. Blessings for obedience. This is my little thing as a title there, but that gets the truth. The truth is in there, in the words that God is revealing. And if you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all his commandments that I command you today, the Lord your God will set you on high above the nations of the earth, of all the nations of the earth, not just some, all. All these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you. You aren't reaching for them. They're overtaking you. If you obey the voice of the Lord your God, blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Those have to do like with business. What you do in the field, maybe you aren't a farmer, okay, but you may do things out in the world. We'll call that your field. In the city, transactions, things that you do. Blessed shall be the fruit of the womb. So your family, the fruit of your ground, the fruit of your cattle, increase your hands and the young of your flock. Blessed shall you be in the basket and your kneading bowl. And what you have, what you do, blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. All right. Now, the thing I want to get to, we could keep reading that, is now there was curses for disobedience. Disobedience, let's look at it like this. You have a job. You don't show up to time on the job, you don't do the work you're supposed to do, or you don't show up on the days you're supposed to, or whatever. You don't do what you're supposed to do. Well, there sure isn't blessings going to come at that job. They're going to fire you. So in the Old Testament, they had a job to do. Now we have a job to do too, because we're ambassadors for Christ, all right? But curses for disobedience. But if you, this is verse 11 of this Deuteronomy 28. But if you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, that's pretty simple, right? The voice of the Lord. And be watchful, careful to do all his commandments and his statutes that I command you today, then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. You're not asking for them. You're not walking into them. They're overtaking you because, hey, you don't have the blessing of God on your life because you're choosing to not go show up for work. And, I use that example. What I'm saying is you're choosing not to believe and trust God while they're your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That kind of thing. Okay, if we are not watchful, careful to do these things, he says, these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be. That's verse 16 of Deuteronomy 28. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Okay, my business and the things I do, my transactions and whatever. Cursed shall you be the basket in your kneading bowl. Those are in my home. Things in my home are not going to be well. Cursed shall be the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, and increase of your herds and the young of your flock. Cursed shall you be when you come in and when you go out. Now, Christ, back to Galatians here, 3, isn't it? 3:13. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. So now we say, what is the curse of the law? We know what is the curse of the law. We know, and those of you, welcome to replay viewers. Thanks for dropping in when you do. If you're redeemed, you're bought out, you're rescued from loss, then you should never be in a position where you suffer loss. Now, wait a minute. And that's a pretty bold statement. You should never suffer loss. Paul himself says he went through nakedness, famine. He went through a lot of difficulties. We look at any of the believers in the first century, and we could say at times they suffered loss. But we cannot forget God, because of this redemption, is at work in us to will and do of his good pleasure, right? He's at work in our lives to will, to desire and do of his good pleasure. But not only that, he is working together through these difficulties and challenges to bring us good, because we've been redeemed from the curse of the law. In other words, we have greatly improved opportunity with God. There was an old a show years ago for kids, and it was something like this: conjunction, junction, what's your function? So, prepositions and nouns, just conjunctions, adverbs, whatever. All these things were in there to connect. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Well, the blessing junction of redemption, what's its function, is to give us the life of God, his life, his resources, his access to manifest in our lives. Do you get that? Christ redeeming us from the curse of the law is to give us this connection that we have been helped, we have been rescued from loss, and to greatly improve our opportunity in the world. Hey, if someone came to you and offered you this great business, this great job, whatever, here's this great opportunity, what would you do? Would you say yes? Would you say no? There might be circumstances on it. Maybe you'd have to move to Alaska. Or something. Well, it pays 10 times anything I ever made, but it's Alaska. I don't want to go there. Hey, I've almost never met someone that lived in Alaska that didn't like it. So there's a plus for Alaska. Okay, I don't know about Texas, though. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Texas. It's funny, and it's not good that believers are more concerned about what's happening in politics and so forth and talking about it instead of speaking of our redemption, how we've been helped, And we have been redeemed from the curse of the law, so we're not supposed to be living in that. So I want to take this minute. Here's, we're going to do our exercise. You ready for this exercise? No, you don't know what we're doing. How could you be ready? All right. Christ redeeming us from the curse of the law, having paid this price, has opened up great opportunity in our lives that affects and influences our life in the world, spiritually, mentally, physically. And so this includes all realms, your finances, whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a minute, and the word it talks about meditating on these things. So I want you to take a minute and meditate, think, consider, and I'm going to get quiet in a minute, on this redemption from the curse of the law. What does this mean as far as your access, your connection with God, and blessings flowing, that you always come out on top? It may look like you're on bottom. It may look like your rating is, you've got the bottom score, but that God brings you out on top. What does this mean, this Christ redemption? So let's take a minute. Let's go to God. Let's consider what this means and let Him speak to your heart and life about the reality of this redemption, that you're no longer under the curse of the law, and then that you are under all spiritual blessings, and the effect, the impact, and the result it's supposed to have. So that's what I'm saying is conjunction, junction, what's your function? Deception, connection, what's your function? If there's those that are deceived, going about deceiving others. That connection is what the world is about. And when it gets us all tied up in all that's going on in it, and that's what we're talking about, it's already like we've been trapped somehow. Now, yeah, I could go on about this, but let's look here. I said, blessing conjunction, what's your function? All the benefits, the purposes, the plans, the great expectation God has for us is to come to pass in our lives. Okay, now I've given you a lot. Let's take a minute. We're going to get silent. What does it mean to be redeemed from the curse of the law? Okay, I'm going to quiet. Listen for God's voice. Listen for His word. Listening to Him speaking for you. Take your circumstances right now that you're having difficulty or challenges in finances, physical health, whatever it is. Take to God and see what He is saying. All right, I'm shutting up. Okay, here we go. The deception conjunction, and maybe some of the things you might have heard or something like this, the deception conjunction is like the John 10:10, about the thief. The deception conjunction, in other words, the functions of the world are to steal and to kill and destroy from us. That's the deception conjunction. And that's their function, steal, kill, and destroy. Okay, what is the blessing conjunction? What is this redemption in Christ from the curse of the law? I'm not saying you're going to be rich or you're going to be poor, but I can say in the blessing conjunction, we have righteousness, peace, and joy. God has done right for us even when we did wrong. He's given us peace when we didn't even deserve peace, and He's given us joy, access to these things, and such overflowing abundance. When we don't have and living in the righteousness, peace, and joy, and I'm talking in all realms of your life, I'm at rest. I'm in confidence. The yoke that I carry is easy. My burden is light because Christ is that life and strength. So righteousness, peace, and joy. If your peace is getting stolen, if your joy is being depressed, taken away, knocked out, then the subception conjunction, the enemy's work, is doing its purpose. If my peace and joy, I'm always finding they're increasing and I'm walking more in what God has for me, then that redemption that Christ has paid by becoming a curse for us, that I have blessings, I'm walking in blessings, and now because of these blessings I have peace and joy, now I'm in the blessing conjunction, the life connection of the righteousness, peace, and joy that God has for us. So you do what you want to do. I would take another couple minutes after this broadcast, this sharing, get quiet, and continue to focus on what this redemption means in the sense of you were rescued from loss and you were given great opportunity for improvement because you were given a connection, a blessing conjunction, a life connection that results in these great qualities that God has declared are yours. Let's not focus on the world and what it's doing. It's going to continue to do what it does. Are we going to follow that pattern? Do we want to really talk about the world a lot? I'm not saying we can't talk about politics or something like that. Generally, you don't find me do that. Don't talk about politics. It's funny. People can have good right in front of them. Good can be right in front of them, and they can't see it. Faith is the big key here. Jesus said, he did. He said this, fear not, but have faith. Fear is phobia. What is the world full of? Phobias, fears, right? Oh, spiders or whatever. Who knows what people have phobias about? You aren't supposed to have any phobias. Fear not. Only believe. That means you're only supposed to see the blessings that are coming, even though you see the deception function of the enemy trying to defeat and stop you. There's no wall blocking you because Christ has blazed that trail. He's taken us to the other side, and we need to see the reality of this redemption in Christ and see the blessing conjunction that is ours. When we see the blessing conjunction, the life conjunction, the righteousness, joy, and peace that is ours, it changes our perception. It lifts us above our circumstances, and then we can walk right through the smoke screen of the enemy's lies. Okay? Have a day as God's ambassador, his child, his chosen gem, is more than a conqueror, that blessings poured out are the reality, and the defeats the enemy tries to tell you are the lies to try to keep you from this connection that you've been rescued from loss.